Idiot! Cheap tourists nearly end up as tiger feed. 3 tourists almost landed in the tiger enclosure when they snuck into a zoo in southern China, all because they were trying to save the equivalent of $6 each on entry fees. CCTV footage captured these morons last Saturday as they scaled the fence at a drive-thru wild animal park in Changsha, Hunan province. The 3 cheapskates must not have realized they were dicing with death. Because if they'd climbed the next fence, they'd either have been electrocuted or ended up as lunch for the zoo's 7 Bengal tigers. Now, most visitors to the park opt for the conventional method of entry, by paying for a ticket on a sightseeing bus. When the bus comes through, the tigers are let out to feed, right into the area of where the 3 amigos snuck into. Luckily for the thick-headed trio, they were spotted by security guards who grabbed them and handed them over to the cops. Not only did these fools risk their own lives, but also those of the tigers, because if they had been attacked, who's to say the zoo staff wouldn't have killed the big cats? Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews. These idiots aren't the first people to get too close to tigers at a Chinese zoo.
Update on man killed by tigers after scaling zoo wall. Tigers are born killers, and when you accidentally find yourself on their turf, they'll be sure to let you know. A man in Ningbo, China found this out the hard way after he scaled a wall to get into the zoo for free, but paid the price with his life. On January 28th, the man surnamed Zhang and his co-worker surnamed Li decided to take their families for a nice outing at the Yonggor Zoo. While their wives walked in with Zhang's 2 children, the men decided to hop the fence, trying to save less than $20 US each on park admission. Scaling the zoo's 10-foot-tall outer wall, past warnings and wire netting, they met with another 10-foot wall. While Li stayed back, Zhang forged ahead. Unfortunately, when he dropped down, he didn't realize he'd just entered tiger territory. Trapped like a rat and surrounded by 4 big cats, Li walked into a painful hour of punishment for his grave mistake. Other park visitors could only watch in horror as the 4 tigers' curiosity led them to feast on Zhang's body. Zoo officials used firecrackers and water cannons to scare away 3 of the tigers, but one of them was undeterred by the threats, more fascinated with its new plaything. Rather than back off, the tiger batted Zhang around like a ball of yarn and then stripped off his clothes, leaving his flesh exposed. As the tiger dragged his body into the forested area of the enclosure, Chinese special forces finally gunned it down with a bullet. Meanwhile, Zhang was rushed to hospital, but soon died of his devastating injuries. In the aftermath of the incident, the public is mourning, not for the death of the foolish father of 2, but for the dead tiger. A representative of animal rights group PETA has stated, attacks by captive big cats on people, which occur with staggering regularity, illustrate the profound level of stress, anxiety, and agitation these animals experience every day of their lives. The tiger's death is garnering the sympathy of Chinese netizens, much like Harambe the gorilla last year in the US. One Weibo user wrote, "This visitor's death by mauling really does not deserve any sympathy. Tigers are the carnivorous kings of the jungle and hunting for food is their instinct. Who can you blame if you jump in and get attacked? Rest in peace, tiger."
Tiger mauls woman to death at Beijing Safari Park. One woman was killed and another woman was injured when the pair was mauled by tigers after they left their car at a wildlife park in Beijing. According to Chinese media, the woman got into a fight with a man in the car and got out of the vehicle. CCTV footage shows the woman standing beside the car before being attacked and dragged away by a tiger. The man then runs out of the car and tries to help. It's unclear if he was injured. A second older woman was mauled and killed by another tiger after she jumped out and attempted to help. Badaling Wildlife World in Beijing is known for rearing large groups of dangerous animals that roam wide open areas which visitors can drive through in their own cars. Visitors are told to keep their doors locked and windows fully closed while in the park. Park officials quickly arrived at the scene, but were unable to save one of the women. Authorities said the woman who survived was receiving medical treatment.
A man narrowly escaped with his life on Sunday morning after jumping into a tiger enclosure in a southwestern China zoo in an alleged attempt to feed the animals. Witnesses at a zoo in Sichuan province first spotted the man, identified as Yang Jinhai, climbing a tree overlooking the tiger pen, before he jumped into the enclosure and began taunting two white male and female Bengal tigers. Yang's odd behavior scared away the tigress, but the 27-year-old was attacked by the male tiger. Yang was scratched, bitten, and dragged around by the tiger until zookeepers fired a tranquilizer dart at the large cat. He managed to walk away from the animal attack largely unscathed, and told reporters he simply wanted to feed the tigers. Feed them what, you ask? Well, Yang's backpack was reportedly found to be filled with brown rice. Yep, brown f***ing rice. What the f***?
Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews.
Chinese zoo visitor jumps into tiger enclosure for a thrill. A Chinese man jumped into the tiger enclosure from a chairlift when he was visiting a zoo in China's Hunan province because he was looking for a thrill. The 40-year-old man was visiting the Wangcheng Park in Luoyang City on December 19th when the safety net above the tiger enclosure caught his attention. He thought the safety net was well built and wanted to jump down and do a backward somersault off the net for a thrill. Things did not go according to plan, and he just crashed into the net. Zoo employees who came to the man's aid said he did not appear to be mentally unhinged.
Chinese zoo sends tourists out in caged trucks to feed exotic animals. A Chinese zoo is pushing the limits of human-animal interaction with a new attraction that lets visitors get up close and personal with wildlife. The zoo located in Chongqing City is now allowing guests to hand-feed its lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my! According to the zoo, the point is to give visitors the thrill of being stalked and attacked by the big cats, but with, of course, none of the risks. Visitors are invited to ride around in a large cage, much like that of a shark dive tank, but on land and on the back of a van. Fresh meat is tied to the outside of the cargo to lure the animals in. Once close enough, guests can feed raw meat or live animals like chickens to the big cats and apples to the bears. While being stalked and attacked by big animals isn't everyone's thing, it seems there's a long list of people who don't mind potentially losing an arm. The attraction is currently sold out for the next 3 months. Is it just us, or does this sound an awful lot like the plot of Jurassic World?
Donkey meets cruel end at Chinese zoo. Shocked visitors at a zoo in China watched on in horror when a live donkey was tossed into the tiger enclosure. The cruel incident took place on Monday at a zoo in the city of Changsha, 115 miles northwest of Shanghai. According to the zoo, the donkey was thrown to the tigers by men led by an unnamed zoo investor, who was in a fit of rage. The shareholder was reportedly in a dispute with the zoo's managers about poor returns on his investment. The zoo's assets were frozen 2 years ago, and it has been unable to sell any animals since. But the investor wasn't having that, so he attempted to take the donkey and several animals out of the zoo and sell them. But when the investor was stopped by security guards, he decided to chuck the donkey into the tiger pit because, and I quote, "At least we can save on animal feed that way." Wow, that's cold. But it could have been worse. Reports said the investor was stopped before he could throw a goat in with the tigers too. And as you can see from the footage, once the donkey's in the enclosure, things were only going to go one way. Rest in peace, little donkey. Rest in peace.